Events such as International Men's Day seek to maintain male supremacy not only in spite of the huge cost it extracts from men and boys, but by using this cost as a justification.
So wanting to bring some kind of recognition to the positives of masculinity and to actually discuss men's issues like male suicide, which has thankfully been discussed quite a bit in the last week or so because of publicity around International Men's Day. Trying to bring those things to light is somehow maintaining male supremacy. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how that works. It's quite possible that Glosswitch is fucking insane. Even if we were to conclude that Glosswitch is fucking insane, which I think most of us have come to that conclusion by now, at least the logical ones, we still have to ask the question, how did she get this published? Why is this garbage being published? This is like something from the fucking KKK or something. I wouldn't expect a major publication to publish something from the fucking Grand Dragon or Imperial Cyclops or fucking whatever from the KKK, because I would expect them to read it and go, you know, this is fucking insane, this is bigoted nonsense, and not actually pay them and publish them. Yet here we are reading this bullshit, and this is her regular job. Yeah, because, you know, remember, we live under male supremacy. Okay, you got it? Okay, let's continue.
It's clinging on to the thing that causes you pain in an effort to prove to yourself it was worth it.
So men are clinging on to their issues to prove to themselves that it was worth it. Yeah. Because, you know, the homeless want to be homeless. They want to, you know, be out in the middle of winter with no shelter when it's raining or snowing, and they haven't had a hot meal in days. They're wanting to hang on to that pain, apparently, to, you know, maintain their sense of male supremacy. Yeah. Makes perfect sense when you put it that way. Next.
But it isn't. The shorter lifespan, the violence and the depression should tell us that it isn't. If men want liberation, too, it's time for them to cut their losses. Masculinity isn't working. It's time for men to let go.
Of course. The blame for everything in the world is masculinity, isn't it? You know, global warming, masculinity, earthquake in China, must be masculinity, you know. Some woman somewhere is constipated, must be masculinity somehow. A woman kills her children, must be masculinity. I mean, what else could it be? Couldn't be anything else, could it? It seems that every issue, every problem in the world is caused by that evil old masculinity. What a fucking monster this woman is. What a man-hating fucking monster she is. And the fact that she has 2 sons. Fuck, that's just fucking depressing. Anyway, fuck it, I'm done. Sometimes you come across a video which says so many incredibly stupid things that you have to ask yourself, is this actually just a PO? In this case, I don't think it is, but I'll let you make up your own minds.
What up, fellas? It's slothboy494 here, and I'm reporting for duty. Welcome to Sloth Talks, where I talk about something topical and pretty much try to make a podcast out of it. Also, I'm not going to be using an avatar for this because there's no reason for me to do so. Now, today I'll be talking about something I really hate, and that is the men's rights movement. The men's rights movement, for anyone who was fortunate enough to not know about it, is one of the dumbest things in the whole world.
One of the dumbest things in the whole world. So, being concerned about male suicide, about male homelessness, about male bodily integrity, parental rights for fathers, and the sentencing gap. Apparently being concerned about those things is one of the stupidest things in the entire world. This is going to be an interesting ride, isn't it, folks?
It's where men who have been single all their lives start projecting their bitterness about how women don't talk to them, and they just march around bitching about their so-called oppression at the hands of feminism.
And here we have an example of a typical feminist argument when trying to debunk a men's rights activist. What you do is, instead of attacking actual arguments, you attack the individuals and you try to sex shame them, and then you throw around the word oppression, which we don't actually use. That's the word that feminists use. Wealthy, middle class, well-educated, Western women who claim to be oppressed. Sorry, mate, we don't claim to be oppressed. In fact, no one in the Western world, neither men nor women, are oppressed.
What really bothers me is that there's more of these people everywhere I turn on the internet. It really annoys me how people can actually support such a bullshit movement. So I want to take the time here to tear down all of the men's rights ideologies. Let's start with the obvious question. Do men need a movement? The answer is no. They don't. In fact, the notion that men have less rights is actually a product of distorting facts to suit their own needs and fuel their propaganda and preserve the misogynistic patriarchy that they have so long wished to have.
Well, actually, it's illegal to circumcise newborn girls in the West, yet it is perfectly legal to circumcise newborn boys. You see, girls have the right to bodily integrity. Boys don't. That's one right. And in America, mothers can give up their children under the Baby Moses law. They can surrender parenthood at any time they want. Fathers can't. Fathers don't have that right. So there's two rights that women have that men don't. I wonder if you can name any rights that men have that women don't. I bet you can't.
And it seems that every thread I've seen about men's rights has fallen into the same trap. They all use the same rhetoric, same buzzwords, same straw manning.
Speaking of straw man arguments,
or in this case it would be straw womaning, I don't know. Cases, they aren't that hard of a book to read. They think they have your strings clenched, but in reality, they're fraying on their sweaty, grimy hands. I want to specifically take apart each argument MRAs have thrown around to make sure their bullshit can actually seem meaningful. Firstly, MRAs do not want equality. I'll say it again. They are actually out to preserve patriarchy.
Don't you love it when a feminist accuses us of using straw man arguments and then turns around and uses a straw man argument? They do this every single fucking time without fail. It is just absolutely mind-boggling to watch. They have no self-awareness whatsoever. It's just absolutely stunning. As for the claim that we're trying to maintain patriarchy, yeah, because trying to get fathers to have equal custody of children is apparently maintaining patriarchy. And trying to stop genital mutilation of newborn baby boys apparently is patriarchy. And wanting an equal sentence for an equal crime apparently is patriarchy. Absolutely fucking amazing.
I'm gonna get this out of the way. These dumbasses have some of the most fragile egos I've ever fucking seen. They cry misandry at every little thing that is centered around women. I've seen it all. In my Amazing Atheist commentary, which I will let die in obscurity, I mentioned that female narratives have been undermined by the patriarchal thought that women still need men to justify their existences. However, if you flip it around to say that men need women, it's misandry, and they will cry and bitch till their hearts give out. I say let them. Now where there will be less MRAs. Back on topic, here's how a typical father story pans out. It involves a man whose wife has died. Not divorced, not left him for someone else, just flat out killed before the events of the movie. It almost never really leads to anything more. It doesn't serve any purpose other than to move the plot along and provide slight internal conflict for him. It can be done well, like with The Punisher. His wife and son were killed by the mob, and now he's a homicidal vigilante righting the wrong that was done to him. his wife's death actually served a purpose beyond he has to raise a kid on his own. In these fatherhood stories, women are plot devices. Wife dies, barely anything happens besides the family misses mommy. How does a motherhood story pan out? Well, she's happily married and things going to be better. But if she's single, then everything goes to hell, and 8 times out of 10, a man's got to make things right.
And this is another common feminist tactic where they look at one example and then apply it to everything while ignoring other examples which might contradict their claim. For example, he ignores what I like to call homification, in which we see men being portrayed as mindless fat slobs who can't do a thing without their more intelligent and attractive wives or girlfriends giving the stupid, helpless slob of a male a helping hand.
Hey,
Mom! What are you doing? What is that? What is this?
it's a special paste I invented to replace socks. We're dipping our feet in it.
Why?
Because we can't find socks that shape to our feet. We're sick of it.
Sick of it.
That's really stupid.
So, Antonio,
Tony, actually.
I noticed you look nothing like your online dating profile.
Oh, really?
In it, you have long blonde hair.
I haven't updated my pic for a while.
And where do you surf?
I don't know.
And you're into yoga.
Yoda. Do you know who he is?
Yep.
Hey, Wayne, I'm Common Sense. What is all of this?
Oh, it's something I invented. It allows me to watch TV everywhere I go.
Wayne, why don't you just get new TV everywhere from Cable One? Many of the shows and movies you watch at home are now streaming right to your laptop, tablet, and smartphone.
Yeah, sounds great.
It's just common sense.
And that's not even to mention what I like to call creepification, in which men are portrayed as, or the abusers, the sex fiends, the monsters, and basically anything else negative is somehow portrayed as masculine traits as opposed to human traits. But, just go ahead and ignore those things, why don't you?
Now, I'm not saying that a happy married couple is a bad story. I'm just saying that a woman can only be happy if a man is in her life is just wrong. An example I can think of is Sinister 2. Whereas a mother who escapes her abusive dickhole of a husband with her 2 kids is forced to live with him again when he regains full legal custody. That's the main story of the characters. At the end, he gets killed, thankfully enough. But it doesn't change the fact that she had to turn to a man to get her life back on track, especially since the man in this case was putting her in pain. Yet it's totally okay to have a man prance around saying that women are useless. And throwing the argument that men lose their wives through bullshit means isn't going to change my mind, because it doesn't take away anything from the media portraying single mothers as weak and in need of a husband.
Yeah, so, I have to ask the question, what does any of that have to do with men's rights? Is he suggesting that Hollywood is run by men's rights activists? That doesn't sound like a conspiracy theory at all, does it? And of course, what he fails to realise is that many stories in Hollywood are basically tropes. They're familiar stories that people can relate to instantly. Obviously, in a movie, you don't have enough time to fully flesh things out like you do in a book. So it's much easier to use the shorthand of a trope, and that's all it is. Of course, this has nothing to do with men's rights activists. We're not running Hollywood. We're not forcing Hollywood to make movies based on our scripts or our philosophy or anything like that. In fact, we're only a small movement which constantly gets attacked by the media. It's a very strange argument to make.